What is good? What is good? What is good? Can you guys see me, hear me? FST is here on time. And we got a lot to talk about, baby. We got to talk about the Bears with training camp. So, first, let me know if you guys can hear me and see me, if everything's good with audio and whatnot. Let me know in the chat. I see a lot of you guys here already. But let me know, and then I'll go ahead and get started. Is there? Okay, perfect. So you guys can hear me. Okay, cool. Yes. So I already see somebody asking about if the rookies reported yet. Yes. So we're talking about training camp. It officially kicked off today, which was interesting because when I was looking on Twitter, I didn't see too many like pictures, news, whatnot about it. But training camp officially kicked off today, but only for rookies. Okay, so keep that in mind. It's just for rookies. And the Bears have officially signed all of their draft picks from this past draft. So our most notable draft, Cole Kmet and Jalen Johnson, they did sign them to contract, so they are now officially Bears. Okay, so that is great news, obviously. But today, it's just rookie training camps that started. That's probably why we didn't see a lot of news or see a lot of pictures and videos. But, folks, we'll take it at this point, okay? And official training camp in terms of every player reporting is going to be on July 20th, okay? So, essentially a week from now, full training camp is going to kick off, okay? So, love that. Today, I wanted to talk about, obviously, the things that we should look forward in training camp. So I've got a couple of things here that I have to talk about, and then we'll do a Q&A as well. So I'm also going to, let you guys submit super chats for questions to answer right away. So let me go ahead and put that in the chat to have your question answered right away. Okay. So we have to talk about a couple things. Quarterback battle. Obviously, no preseason, which I'll get into in a second here. So what's going to happen with that? Who's going to be the second cornerback opposite Kyle Fuller? Are we so sure it's going to be Jalen Johnson? Who's going to be the second safety opposite Eddie Jackson? Right? That's number three. What are we doing with our third running back behind David Montgomery and Tariq Cohen? And is there going to be a kicking competition, or does Eddie Pinheiro have this job locked up? And then I'll also talk a little bit about the offensive line, who I expect to get that right tackle starting position. And then we'll do Q&A, okay? But in the meantime, again, if you guys still do have questions you want me to answer right away, submit super chats for that. But I'll get to QA at the very end. So let me just hit on these points, and then we'll go and get into the QA, okay? So quarterback battle. Here's the thing. Preseason's not happening. It's not happening, folks, okay? You can just put a fork in it. No preseason games, not even one, because the NFL, not the NFLPA, the NFL came to the NFLPA and said they are okay with 0 preseason games. So there's not going to be any preseason games. Why is that important? Well, because we needed to have the preseason, especially for the Bears, to see who would be our starting quarterback between Mitchell Trubisky and Nick Foles. And now they won't even have a preseason to determine that. So training camp is essentially going to determine who's getting the starting job. Okay, and you guys know where I stand on this. I've already said that it is going to be Mitchell Trubisky, and more so now than ever, I feel so confident in that because of the fact that you have not had an opportunity to have a full and complete offseason, and so it is so difficult for people that are newcomers to a team to acclimate themselves, right? And Nick Foles, I get it. He knows Matt Nagy's system from, previous stops in Philly and Kansas City, etc. But it's still not like being on the team. So that is something that's really going to impact the Bears because our quarterback battle is not going to be decided in preseason because there's no preseason. It's going to be decided in training camp. And obviously, I'll keep you guys updated. But like I said, my stance has not changed one bit. I believe Mitchell Trubisky will be the starting quarterback. And funny enough, I know this doesn't mean anything, but I was just looking on ESPN and looking at their depth charts, they have Mitchell Trubisky listed as a starter. I don't know if that means anything. Probably doesn't, but I just thought it was interesting. They have Nick Foles as the backup. So the quarterback battle is going to be determined in training camp. It's not going to be happening in preseason because there's going to be no preseason. And if you guys are going to ask, there's not going to be any fans either. And by the way, I just got a notification that the new SoFi Stadium, which is the new stadium for the Chargers and the Rams, will have limited to no capacity. And if a brand new stadium can't get fans, that means certainly the existing stadiums aren't getting any fans either. So that's not happening either, by the way. So if you guys were thinking about watching training camp, which I know a lot of you guys probably have done so, or would have planned on doing so, we can't even do that. So that is the quarterback battle update. Okay, so again, that is going to be determining training camp. Second thing, who is going to be the second cornerback opposite Kyle Fuller? Okay, we know Kyle Fuller's our bona fide starting cornerback, but opposite him, who is it going to be? You got a couple of candidates. You got Buster Skrine, whatever you want to say, Jalen Johnson, our rookie draft pick, Trey Roberson, our signee from the CFL that we had this past offseason, Kevin Tolliver's there. But really, it's between, to me, Buster Skrine and Jalen Johnson. And here's the thing. Any other year, I would have said Jalen Johnson is a lock to win this position because I believe he is the most talented cornerback we have on the roster opposite Kyle Fuller. But because of the pandemic and how weird this offseason is, it feels like this is going to be a huge issue for rookies, okay? Because rookies won't have the training camps, or I should say training camp. They won't have the full offseason to be able to acclimate themselves. And so for me, I'm leaning towards Buster Skrine being that guy just because I think they're going to bring in Jalen Johnson, along during the season. So probably going to see Skrine start out the year as a starting cornerback opposite Fuller and then bring in Jalen Johnson. But ultimately, if you're asking me my long-term answer here, it is Jalen Johnson. It's just you just might not see it right away, which I thought would have happened if if we had a normal offseason, but we don't. So that's why I have Buster Skrine starting. And Kevin Tolliver, I mean, yeah, somebody said don't count him out. Could be possible. Again, Trey Roberson, he's a very good cornerback from the CFL. Could be possible. I'm just saying right now the front runner is Buster Skrine just because of the fact that we have had we have had a no offseason. And trust me, folks, Jalen Johnson would easily win the second starting cornerback job if we just even had a little bit of a regular offseason. And he still could, by the way. I'm not saying he can't. He still could, but I'm just saying right now, Skrine's got the upper advantage, okay? So let's talk about the second safety, okay? So we got Eddie Jackson, obviously our stud safety, but who's the opposite? And this one to me is much easier than the cornerback position. It is going to be Tayshaun Gibson, folks. I think he is by far the best safety we've got on the roster opposite Eddie Jackson or besides Eddie Jackson. And I know we signed, Jordan Lucas. We have Deion Bush. A lot of you guys like Deion Bush. It's Tayshaun Gibson. He is the most experienced. He's the most talented. He's made a Pro Bowl before. Yeah, I get it. He's been cut from a number of teams. But here's the thing, folks. The NFL does this all the time for money reasons and whatnot. So I'm telling you, it is going to be Tayshaun Gibson. Somebody asked, what is Super Chat? Super Chat is just a way you can show support for the channel and submit a monetary amount to ask questions. The button should be on the chat section. It's got like a money sign on there. So if you guys do have questions you guys want me to answer right away, which I will, it will be through Super Chat, or else just wait until the end when I will do Q&A after I get done with this. So just want to point that out. So, yeah, I think Tayshaun Gibson. A lot of you guys are saying Tayshaun Gibson in the chat. And, yes, I agree. It's Tayshaun Gibson. So that hopefully handles that. And I'm very excited about that safety duo because that is pretty damn good right there. Eddie Jackson and Tayshaun Gibson. Number 4, the depth behind David Montgomery and Tariq Cohen. Okay, this one I'm really worried about. And I want to hear from you guys too. We have Ryan Nall as our third running back. Okay, if David Montgomery, God forbid, knock on wood, let me keep knocking here, gets hurt, and I'm even talking about like an ankle sprain that he's out a week or 2 weeks or something like that. We don't have anybody that can take his role. Yes, Tariq Cohen is our backup, but he does not play David Montgomery's role. You cannot give Tariq Cohen 20 to 25 carries. And so the problem is you need somebody else to be there in case David Montgomery gets hurt. And all we have is Ryan Nall. Folks, Ryan Nall is not very good. He's a plotter. He's slow. I'm not a big fan at all. And this is one of the things I've said it all offseason. They should have signed another running back, a veteran running back. Now, a lot of you guys are saying Artavius Pierce in the chat. Here's my thing. I thought Artavius Pierce would be the third running back, and he still could, but he is not, I believe, on the active roster. He's going to be on the practice squad. So he still has to win that job and make the roster. So let's not pencil him in. And no, please, oh, good Lord, don't give me Cordero Patterson. I do not want any more snaps with Cordero Patterson lining up at halfback. Please spare me that. Keep him at what he does best, okay? So I'm really worried about the third running back job on this team because, look, Ryan Nall, okay, he's not awful, but he's nothing special, and I just wish we could upgrade the position. Like I said, we just need something. Ryan Nall is okay if David Montgomery doesn't get hurt. But if David Montgomery gets hurt, we're screwed. If David Montgomery gets hurt, the Bears will need to sign a running back. And so that's the problem here. If you guys want to say Ryan Nall is fine, Faiz, my issue to you is, okay, he's fine until David Montgomery gets hurt. Then he's not fine. Then you got to sign somebody. So point being is right now, he's not fine. Couple options on the market. Lamar Miller's out there. Obviously, we know he's a bit on the older side, but Devontae Freeman's out there. I know he's looking for a little bit of money. But there are guys out there. And so it's possible that the Bears could sign somebody. But what's going to happen here is I'm pretty sure they're just going to wait until David Montgomery if David Montgomery gets hurt. So to me, I'm not a fan. Some of you guys brought up Raheem Mostert. The thing with Raheem Mostert is, folks, that would take a trade, and I don't see the Bears trading for a running back at this point, and certainly not paying any sort of long-term deal. So the only way is a cheap veteran running back on the free agent market. That's the best thing that the Bears can do at this point. But I hate the fact that they're waiting for something bad to happen. They're waiting in case David Montgomery gets hurt. Why not sign somebody in case somebody snatches up? David Montgomery or somebody else on the Bears could not be the only running back that gets hurt. So what if Devontae Freeman signs and the Lamar Miller gets snacked up? And so, again, it's scary out there. So I'm just not happy about that. Hopefully somebody from the practice squad emerges, something like that happens. But the third running back position is a concern. See, a lot of you guys agreeing with me. Yes, we don't have a lot of money. David Montgomery is a key. Yes, absolutely. If David Montgomery goes down, again, knock on wood, good Lord, our season would essentially, be a wrap. David Montgomery is the key to my entire Bears season for what I have them doing. Okay, he's my breakout player. So David Montgomery can't go down, and I really, really hope he doesn't. But I'm just saying you got to prepare for the worst, right? So the third running back position is a big concern. Okay. And then finally, or not finally, next item on the agenda, we're talking about the kicking competition. Again, super chat if you guys do want to have your questions answered right away. But getting back to the kicking competition. So kicking competition, a lot of people don't think we're going to have one, but I believe we will. Everybody thinks Eddie Pinheiro has the job locked up. Oh, no, folks, he does not. Eddie Pinheiro last season had a chance to lock up the job. And is he the front runner? Yes. But will he get in a battle for the job? Yes. And who is the guy? It is Ramiz Ahmed. That is who we have on the roster as another kicker. And so, look, Eddie Pinheiro was okay. He was nothing great last season. We know he made the game winner against the Broncos, but we also know he botched the potential game winner against the Chargers. So, again, you give it, you take it away. So to me, I wasn't sold on Eddie Pinheiro. And if it comes down to where, we're back into having the game decided on a kick. I don't feel that confident in Eddie Pinheiro. I mean, do I feel more confident than Cody Parkey? Yes, but that's not exactly saying much, okay? Because I would feel better about any other kicker besides Cody Parkey. So again, point being is there's going to be some sort of a kicking competition. I'm just letting you guys know that. Ultimately, I do believe Eddie Pinheiro will win the job. But again, I'm not even that sure. A lot of people know about Ramiz Ahmed and what he can possibly do. So this is going to be an issue. Yeah, somebody said, should have never gotten rid of Robbie Gould. Yeah. You never know what you have until you lose it, right? I do miss Robbie Gould, who had the golden leg. So, yeah, kicking is going to be an issue a little bit. Now, last season, obviously, we finished 8-8. We didn't even make the playoffs, so we didn't have an opportunity to be in a playoff game like it was with the double doink. But like I said, Eddie Pinheiro showed he can miss under pressure, and we shouldn't feel super confident in him yet. Okay? So just expect that there could be a kicking competition. And also, let's talk about the offensive line. A lot of you guys have been concerned about the offensive line. Let me just say this. I have confidence in the offensive line, but it's fair to question the talent. Okay, because we didn't upgrade talent-wise. Okay, there's only one position really that is up for grabs. I think it's the right tackle position. Obviously, we all know Kyle Long retired, and I believe it will be filled by Jermaine Afidi, who is our free agent signee from the Seattle Seahawks, I believe. Yes, and we signed Jason Spriggs. We've drafted Latavius Simmons. We drafted and signed, and we added depth to the offensive line, but we didn't add any start power. We could have added, the offensive lineman for the Saints. And Larry Warford didn't do that, money reasons. So point being is you got Charles Leno, James Daniel, Cody Whitehair, and Bobby Massey. The only position at that is a question mark is the right tackle. It's between Rashad Coward and Jermaine Afidi. I believe it'll be Afidi, but again, I'm not going to make any claim on that. But ultimately, look, folks, talent-wise, the offensive line is okay. It's not phenomenal. It's not god-awful. We're not the Rams. We're certainly not the Packers. We're not the Rams. But it absolutely needs to work this year because they have put a lot of faith on Juan Castillo, the offensive line coach, to scheme up this offensive line because last year it just wasn't working. But then again, in 2018, it was decent. So we're somewhere in the middle of the pack. I would probably say still below average in terms of the offensive line. But here's the one good thing I'll say about this. More than any other sport, the NFL is where coaching makes all the difference in the world. And that applies to pretty much every position. Quarterback, offense, defense, and especially offensive line. So if you can coach up the offensive line and you have a good coaching staff, the offensive line can work. A lot of you guys are talking about, if you like Afidi, you like penalties. Yeah, he's got a penalty issue. I've seen that. Leno's overrated. Yeah, look, I'm not – nobody is, sold completely on the offensive line. Okay, nobody's sold completely. But at the same time, coaching makes a big difference. So that is what I will say is the one bright spot is that we have added good coaching, and that could really help. But am I sold? Absolutely not. So those are things to look forward to. So again, just to recap, the quarterback battle, we'll see what happens in training camp because no preseason determined that. Second quarterback opposite Kyle Fuller is, in my opinion, going to be Buster Skrine to start off the season, and then Jalen Johnson. Tayshaun Gibson is going to be the opposite safety to Eddie Jackson. The depth behind David Montgomery scares me. We need a solidified third running back. And the kicking competition, there could potentially be one. Ramiz Ahmed is a name to keep in mind. And finally, the right tackle position, I believe, is going to go to Jermaine Afidi. And our offensive line could be decent if the coaching is decent as well. Okay? So that's basically what I wanted to talk about with training camp. And now what I will do is open it up for questions for you guys, and we'll start answering them. So Ask me about training camp questions, what concerns you have, and even in general, Bears questions that you guys have. And again, super chat if you want me to answer your question right away as I try to get through this. Okay. So let's see here. Yeah, a lot of you guys commenting on the offensive line. I'd say trade Patterson for Warford. I'm not sure if the Saints. Not sure if that would happen. Let's see here. Is there going to be a tight end battle? No, there's not going to be a tight end battle. It is Jimmy Graham's job. Jimmy Graham got paid a lot of money to be our starting tight end, and nobody's going to take that away from him. Cole Kmet will get his snaps, but that will happen because of running 2 tight end sets or Jimmy Graham coming off the field. Okay? There is no tight end competition, folks. Unless Jimmy Graham gets hurt, he's going to be on the field. Hey, Faiz, do you think there's a chance Cole Kmet can start the season? Yeah, I just talked about this. No chance. Unless it's 2 tight end sets, Jimmy Graham is going to be our starting tight end. We paid him a lot of money. Are we sweeping the Vikings again? Man, I really hope so. The Vikings did not improve too much this year. Actually, I think they got a little bit worse. They lost a lot of pieces. Everson Griffin, Xavier Rhodes, Stephon Diggs. So I think the Vikings got worse, and I wouldn't be surprised if we swept them again, honestly. To me, the whole division really got worse or stagnant. Should the Bears tank for Trevor if we have a bad start? Here's the thing with that, man. It's tricky in the NFL. It's too difficult to tank in the NFL. It's just too difficult. You just have to be bad, period. And this defense is too good for us to, be bad enough to get Trevor Lawrence. Literally, you would have to go like 2-14, 3-13 to get that, and this Bears defense alone can win you 6 games. Again, guys, super chat if you guys want me to answer a question right away. Let's go through a couple more. With no preseason games, undrafted free agent hidden gems won't have opportunity to sign. Exactly. That's why I'm worried about Artavius Pierce. Artavius Pierce was my pick to be the 3rd running back, and now there's no preseason game, so we don't even know if he'll get that opportunity. So again, I'm not satisfied with Ryan Nall being the 3rd running back. What % change do you think the Bears will win the NFC North? Good question. So I have the Packers winning the North by just a game. So 11-5 and 10-6 is what I have the Bears winning. But I have the Bears making the playoffs. I would probably say, they have a very good chance to win the NFC North. I'd probably say 70%, 70-80%. Yeah, I think they have a very good chance. It's going to take 3 to 6 weeks for offensive line of chemistry from coaching and team. Yeah, it could take time. But again, you can't afford that because the early part of your schedule is relatively weak, so you better get those wins. Faiz, do you think that 9-7 gets us in the playoffs? Yes, because there is an extra wild card spot this year. Remember, guys, 7 teams, not just 6. So, potentially 9-7 can get you in. Do you think Mitch will actually be better because of the alignment in his arm? Yeah, I absolutely. A lot of you guys, if you haven't heard that, Mitchell Trubisky had gone through training because his arm was improperly balanced from all of the overuse. Certainly could help him, for sure. Who could we get for competition at kicker? Well, Aaron, I'm saying that there's going to be an internal competition. Like, we have another guy. His name is Ramiz Ahmed. I'm not sure a lot of Bears fans know about him, but he is listed on the depth chart. And I'm saying it could be a competition between him and Eddie Pinheiro. A lot of people are just assuming Eddie Pinheiro wins this job, and it's not even going to be close. And to me, he is the front runner, yes, but there will be a competition, okay? Record prediction, I've said this before, 10-6. Why are you so worried about our running back depth? Because if David Montgomery gets hurt, we have nobody to play his role. Who is ultimately making the offensive play calling this year? Nagy sucked last year and is a concern. Juan Castillo is going to be the offensive line coach. As far as like making the offensive play calls, Matt Nagy's still running the offense. I know we have a new offensive coordinator, but Matt Nagy runs the show. What about depth at linebacker? Do you think Rashad Smith or Little Mac make the roster? Yeah, this is tough right now because, like I said, with no preseason, it is so difficult for me to say this. I would have said, Khalil Mack's little brother, Ladarius Mack, had a chance to make the team, but now I'm worried. I'm really worried. Do you think the Bears will have a top 15 offense? Yeah, I think that's very possible. I think if the Bears run the football effectively and don't make mistakes, I think they can absolutely do it. What is your record prediction for the season? Do you think our offense can keep the defense off the field this year? Yes, I've said this, 10-6. And yeah, I think we can sort of resemble what we did in 2018. So look, here's the formula, okay? Here's the exact – I'm going to give you the exact formula to the Bears. Okay, this is how you play if you're the Bears. Okay, this could actually work regardless of if it's Mitch or Nick Foles, but I prefer Mitch. You run the football, okay? I'm going to literally talk to the Bears like they're 5 years old. You run the football, okay, and pass when you have to. Be smart about it, right? Be smart about it. And just play keep away. Okay, so I want long drives, right? 15-play drives, but you're running the football. Basically, what you're doing is you're keeping the other team off the field. You're giving your defense time to recover, and you are dragging out the game. So the Bears, let's be honest, they're not going to win shootouts. They're not the Chiefs. So what do? You go ahead and you slow down the game. You win these ugly, low-scoring games. And, folks, I get it. It's ugly, but as long as you win, that's all that matters. So effective. So run the football, play action, bootleg, pass when you have to, and play keep away and control the clock. Real quick, we got a super chat. Levante Rogers. Thank you, Levante, man. I really appreciate you, man. You are an OG subscriber from the beginning. Hello, Faiz. If the season doesn't finish, do you think the NFL should go by the 2019 records and thus determine that for next year's draft positions? Wow, great question. Well, first, let me just say I do believe the season finishes. So if it doesn't, should they go by the 2019 records? Well, I'm assuming if it doesn't finish, then we do have some games to go off of, right? So I think they will just use that. But for the NFL, I mean, literally you would have to just have the season stop. But, Levante, to your point, to your question, though, I don't think the NFL season doesn't finish. But if that was the case, then they will probably just use the record accumulated up until that point. Okay? Thank you for the super chat again, guys. If you want my question answered right away, submit that super chat, man. Really help you out, support the channel. Let me go back to where I was so I don't lose my place. There's a lot of questions here. Yeah, so real quick, I was just saying about the way to play, right, for the Bears. And I've said this before. In 2018, the Bears did well because they ran the football. They were 11th in rushing. Okay, everybody thinks it was the offensive. It was a passing offense. It was not as much. It was the rushing attack, and we didn't even have a 1,000-yard rusher. Jordan Howard didn't even rush for 1,000 yards. So to me, the key is you feed David Montgomery. You keep feeding him. He's going to wear out the defense, and then when you need to pass, when you see it's the right time to pass, the defense is aligned a certain way. Matt Nagy, this is where you got to come in with your magic, pass the football, take these chunk plays off, and go ahead and extend out the drives. It's similar to what the Cowboys have done the past couple of seasons, the Dallas Cowboys, but obviously they have a better quarterback in Dak Prescott and better running back in Ezekiel Elliott, but similar there. The difference, though, is the Bears have a much better defense. So the defense is going to stop the other team very easily, and so your offense just can't go 3 and out, 3 and out. And so how do you stop going 3 and out? Well, you don't just throw all the time because that has somewhat of a low percentage, right? You try to run the football, and you try to be smart about it. So that is how I believe the Bears should play. Bears have a bad record against Brady. Nick Foles beat Brady in Super Bowl. Do you think the Bears have a chance to beat the Bucs? Well, I have the Bucs as a Super Bowl contender, so I do think the Bucs are a better team. But if you're just asking, do the Bears have a chance to beat the Bucs? Yeah, the Bears can beat any team in the NFL, minus maybe Chiefs and Ravens and maybe Saints. That's about it. Every other team, yeah, they can. And like in a one game, I mean, yeah, it could happen. It's not like there's no team where I'm like, okay, if they play them 10 times, they can't even beat them one time. Will Kindle Vildor make the roster? Yes. He is one of our draft picks this year. I believe he signed his contract. I do believe he will. Any idea if season will start on time since there's no preseason? Okay, good question to Gordon. I do believe the season will start on time. So let me give you a quick update on the NFL protocols. They just released yesterday the testing protocols which was so important. So I went on a rant the other day saying how pissed off I was at the NFL that they wasted all this time when they could have put in plans and proper testing and protocols in place for dealing with COVID and the pandemic. And now finally the NFL and the NFLPA, they have agreed now, and they're going to do testing every day. So since training camp started, they're going to do testing every day for 2 weeks. And then after 2 weeks, if the percent positive of tests is below 5%, then they will increase the time between tests. So it'll be instead of every day, probably every 2 days to every 3 days, and then they'll keep gradually doing that. I just got a notification that the NFL had 95 players test positive. Now, 95 seems like a lot, but when you take a look at the fact that, there's 53 guys on a roster, and then you also have like 70, 80 guys overall, I mean, it adds up. There's more than 2,000 players at least. So 95, if we were talking about 2,000, doesn't feel like a lot. So to answer the question, Gordon, the season will start on time, yes, because like I said, I think now that they've got the protocols in place, things will start to kick up. I was worried, though. The Bears need to bring Robbie Gould back. Yeah, I wish that could happen, but it's not happening. The 49ers aren't letting him go. Are there players who will opt out of this year? Are there really players who will opt out of playing this year due to health concerns? I absolutely think so. Absolutely. Jeremy, here's the thing. Like in the NBA, you had still a couple of players opt out. I believe Avery Bradley opted out. Trevor Rees opted out. And they opted out because of family reasons. One of them had kids that had a respiratory issue or something like that. And so, again, I absolutely believe there are players that are going to opt out. It's not going to be probably the rookies or the early first-year players who obviously haven't made a lot of money. It'll probably be the veterans who don't need it, right? As far as big names, I doubt big names will, but there will definitely be some players, I believe. For the first time, the Bears and Packers will meet late versus beginning of the season. Yes, that is true. I do like that. The Bears have met the Packers for the past 2 seasons on opening night. I'm glad that's not happening this year. How many sacks do you think Robert Quinn, Khalil Mack, and Akeem Hicks have individually? This is actually one of my bold predictions. I'm going to say 12 to 13 sacks for Khalil Mack. I'll say more than that. He could have like 14, to be honest. I'll probably say 10 to 11 for Robert Quinn. And so probably 25 combined between Quinn and Mack, and then probably another 6 to 8 for Hicks, something like that. Let's see here. Do you think Mitch will have over or under 25 touchdowns? Good question. Let's see. Oops, hold on real quick. Got another super chat. Levante, again, appreciate you, man. Russell Wilson to the Bears. What would it take? I've heard this rumor so much. Let me just address it once and for all. So thank you, Levante, for bringing it up. Again, super chat if you want your question answered right away. This isn't happening, folks. I'm sorry. This isn't happening. I would love for it to happen, but it's not happening. The Seahawks would be the dumbest team in NFL history, to trade Russell Wilson. He's the second best quarterback in the NFL. And there is no chance they're trading him. And if they do, what would it take? Probably 3 or 4 first-round picks and more. Yeah, probably 3 to 4, if not more, first-round picks. And that might just be the start. So, again, super chat, guys, if you want your question answered right away. Trying to see here what else we have. So the question was over under 25 touchdowns for Mitchell Trubisky. Good question. I'm going to say under. Because in the 2018 season, he had 24 touchdowns, and that was his best year. And I don't think he'll be that good this year. I think he'll be improved over last year, but not that much better. Not that good, I should say. So I'm going to say under. Will the season be delayed by a month or so? If so, there will be many more cold weather games throughout the league. No, I don't believe the season will be delayed. Just mentioned that. I don't think so. Let's see here. What time did training camp start? So training camp, guys, started today. Rookies reported for training camp. The rest of the roster, the main players, are going to be reporting on July 28th. Okay, so I wanted to come on today to talk about the start of training camp and just what to expect, and I went over a couple of the big concerns I had. Do you think a reason Mitch's regression from 18 to 19 was due to the fact that Nagy tried to make Mitch a pocket passer in any way? Absolutely. Absolutely. 1,000%. They literally, or I shouldn't say they, Matt Nagy literally stopped using Mitchell Trubisky's legs. It was a big issue. And so, again, when I talk about the Bears running the football this year, I don't mean just with the running backs. Mitchell Trubisky, too. One of the best offenses last year in the NFL was who? The Ravens with Lamar Jackson. Now, I'm not saying Mitchell Trubisky is Lamar Jackson. He's not. He's not even close. But point being is he does have mobility, and the Ravens offense was all running. They barely passed the ball, and they still have one of the best offenses. So it is possible, and yes, absolutely, Mitchell Trubisky needs to use his leg. It's his best attribute, honestly. Where do you see a weakness on this defensive roster? Second cornerback. Probably that's about it. Other than that, I mean, very, very solid. If Jimmy Graham is bad enough, do you think the Bears will bench him for Cole Kmet? Yes, absolutely. The question, though, was would the Bears start or will there be a competition for tight end? And no, there won't. It will be Jimmy Graham, but if he does suck, Cole Kmet will be a starter. So, again, going through these questions, guys, make sure if you want your question answered right away to do a super chat. Let's see here. What else? Did I miss anything? Somebody asked if the Bears decide to move on from Mitch, if he's not the guy, should the Bears make an effort to sign Dak Prescott? See, you guys know me so well. I actually have a Dak Prescott video that I'm dropping tomorrow. So I will address that in there. Honestly, folks, again, I don't want to spoil the video. It's going to drop tomorrow, but great question. A lot of you guys asked me about that, so I wanted to make a video, and I did. So I'll drop that tomorrow. Greetings from Germany. Keep up the good work. Yo, David, appreciate that, man. Thank you. I can't believe in Germany that you're watching me. That's ridiculous. Crazy. Thank you, David. Appreciate that. Remind me again why there only has to be a 53-man roster for your free agent. Should you automatically be on the team without even competing for a spot, no matter any position? I'm not sure what you mean by that, Chris. Like, why is there a 53-man roster, or why do you have to be signed to it? Why aren't you sub to Faiz? Yeah, why aren't you? Who are we talking about? I'm not sure. But yeah, guys, super chat if you want your question answered. Who do you think the Bears will cut next on the tight end side? Yeah, I think I mentioned this in my 53-man video. You guys should probably go back and look at that. Love your videos, man. Keep up good word. Yeah, appreciate that, man. You got a guy from Scotland watch. Andrew, yo, appreciate that from Scotland. That's crazy. I didn't even know you guys watch football out there in Europe like that. Like, I know the UK does football games, you know, but obviously they won't be this year. But mad respect to you guys. What time is it out there right now, by the way? Let me know. Who will have the better year next season, Juwan Wims or Riley Ridley? Great question. I'm going to go with Riley Ridley. It's time for Riley Ridley to step up, and he needs to get the opportunity, and I hope he does this year. So here's how the wide receiver depth is shaken out. You got Allen Robinson at the top, right? That's our number one. And then you got Anthony Miller below him. It's a big gap. But Anthony Miller below him. And then after Anthony Miller, our third wide receiver, a lot of people are torn. I believe it is going to be Ted Ginn Jr., okay, our third wide receiver. And then after, a lot of people forget we signed Ted Ginn Jr. After Ted Ginn, then you have Riley Ridley. Now, Riley Ridley's got an opportunity to be that third receiver, but he needs to go out and earn it. And this is where I kind of put the blame on the Bears because they didn't give him any playing time, or at least the playing time that he deserved last year. But I think they should. And the only reason I'm picking him over Javon Wims is because we drafted Riley Ridley, and so there's a little bit more investment there, but I also think he's slightly better. So ultimately, I believe Ted Ginn starts out as our number 3 wide receiver, but I want Riley Ridley to compete for that because after him, it is Riley Ridley. Then you got Darnell Mooney, our draft pick from this year, and then you got Juwan Wims. Faiz, I think the balance of rushing passing is key. Rushing will open up the passing. That's why I saw under 12 for season. Jacob, you hit the nail on the head. Literally, have that balance. But even if it's leaning more towards rushing, that's fine. My biggest issue with Matt Nagy is just the fact that he did not adapt to the roster last year. Okay, 2018, he was phenomenal. Great coach of the year. No complaints, right? Last year, he thought we were some air raid offense, like we're the Chiefs or we're the Saints, and that's the problem. Matt Nagy needs to understand you have a system that's great, but you can't fit a square peg in a round hole. Can't do that. You got to play to your strengths. If I have a very good running back and a subpar quarterback and I become a passing team, that's a problem. I'm not going to be very successful. So use the talent and the personnel you have. And that's the problem that Matt Nagy had last year. He was trying to fit his system instead of finding a system that works for his personnel. And that's what he should do this year. Because this year, I'm telling you guys, David Montgomery is the guy. Hopefully he breaks out. So again, couple more minutes here. I'll probably be here for 5 more minutes, guys. Please make sure if you guys want your question answered, submit a super chat. Couple more quick plugs. I know a lot of you guys are play fantasy football. I dropped a course, fantasy football course. If you guys haven't grabbed that, you need to do so. And yes, there will be a fantasy football league for this channel, FSC. And actually, I'm going to make this announcement soon, but you guys are getting the exclusive right here, right now. I will have one official FSC fantasy football league for you guys to join. Then I will also do a money league where you guys can play against me for money. So anyone who doesn't get into that free league, the first league is free, okay? And actually, I'm giving you away stuff in that league. Whoever wins is going to get a monetary prize. That second league is going to be money league, where we'll have a certain wager for people to get in, and then also do a best ball league and then potentially a dynasty league. So a bunch of options with the leagues. Grab my courses; they're always in the description for my videos. And a lot of you guys reached out and said that you guys grabbed the courses, man, and you guys are planning to grab it by draft time. So I really do appreciate that. And I plan to do the draft in August. So early August, mid-August, I'm going to do and have you guys sign up for the draft. So just letting you guys know that, okay? So just want to do a quick plug here. A couple more questions. Again, super chat if you want your question answered right away. Do you think Darnell Mooney will play this season, folks? I'm a little weary on him. The thing is, I love Darnell Mooney, but Matt Nagy has shown he does not use receivers that are on the depth chart well. We literally saw it with Riley Ridley, right? And so Darnell Mooney, to me, I just don't think he's going to get a lot of playing time. Very sparse, if it will. Cordell Patterson could get on the field before him. But point being is, I don't see it as much, folks. I just don't. Will he play? Yes. But will he play a lot? No. What about Tariq Cohen when he plays wide receiver? Yeah, no thank you. What are your thoughts on Arlington, Hambright, and Latavius Simmons' depth? I don't see any of them breaking out and potentially being great. Could they be solid? Sure, but depth, and that's about it. Faiz, how much potential does Travis Gibson have? I think he's going to be very solid. Honestly, I'm not worried at all about the defense. Honestly, he's got some of the best tutors around him. I mean, come on. Look at the guys that are going to be teaching him. Do you think Allen Robinson will have a 1,000-yard season again? Yes. Heck yes. Draft him in fantasy. Personal question, Faiz. You ever think about doing a meetup for a game this season and watching the game with some of your fans under the circumstances in this pandemic? Yeah, I mean, obviously the pandemic is throwing a wrench in things, but I've definitely thought about it. If I do something, I will certainly let you guys know. Meetup will be a little difficult, but listen, this pandemic isn't going to be here forever. So it could be gone, during the season. Who knows? Like I said. So definitely think about it, man. Who do you think was the Bears' best draft pick this year? Cole Kmet, talent-wise. Are you going to do a YouTube member thing or Patreon? I have a Patreon. Already. If you guys don't know, you guys can check the description. I will also be doing a YouTube thing. I have to set it up. It's just been a lot of things that I've had to do, but I'm going to do that as well. Okay? So, look, I got a bunch of videos coming out, the Dak Prescott video, but last thing I'm going to say, guys, grab the courses for fantasy football, and just make sure you guys are subscribing to the Patreon, because there's going to be a bunch of content, right, on there as well. So support the channel, get on the Patreon, and make sure you guys let me know what you guys want me to do. I will actually be doing more lives, and I could even do exclusive Patreon lives, but I appreciate you guys so much, man. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will be doing more lives, and I will talk to you guys later.